Yes, nerds, we be playing a pirate game today. In Shipshape from Calliope Games, each player is taking on the role of a pirate ship captain, and you are fighting to see who can collect the most booty on the seven seas. In the game, each player has a ship that has rats, and sometimes in the higher levels it may have other things on the ship. But there's a 3x3 grid, and over the course of the game you'll be bidding for these tiles that you will overlay on your grid. And after 3 rounds of bidding, you get whatever is visible looking down into your ship. So as you continue bidding for things, bam, now you get to collect everything visible. So not just the top, but all the way down. And each of these resources score slightly differently. So the gold, you just get that many points based on the amount of gold showing minus the number of any rats showing. So this is a -3 rat, so you count up your gold, subtract 3, that's how many you get. The cannons score by adding up all the cannons, and then whoever has the least amount of cannons, you subtract that number from everyone else's number, and that's what they score. So here, I have 6 cannons. If somebody else had 2 cannons and that was the lowest, I would take 6 minus 2, 4 cannons. And then whoever has the least amount of cannons subtracts their cannons from itself, so they get 0 points for that. And then the purple is your contraband, and everyone scores their contraband like normal except the person who has the most contraband, because the Royal Navy confiscates all of yours because you've smuggled the most contraband, so they focus everything on you. So you have these 3 different ways that you score points, and you will be collecting these and placing them as strategically as possible on this stack to score as many points as possible. And you will want to look at each other's to be like, oh, how much contraband do you have? Because I want, ideally you have the second most amount of contraband, so you get the most points without getting 0 points. And then cannons, obviously, you want to just have as many cannons as possible. And gold, you want as much gold as possible. And ideally, you cover up all of your rats if possible, so you get the maximum amount of points for that game. And the way that you get these tiles to add to your ship is in a blind bid. So every player has a hand of cards numbered 1 to 10. And after you've dealt out a number of these tiles, you can see what you're bidding for. Every player secretly decides which card they're going to bid. They put it face down on the table. Everybody turns face up. Now, the highest number wins the bid, but if there's any ties, you both discard those and you go to a second round of bidding. So whoever has the highest card that's not a tie gets to take first, and then down and down and down. Once all those players have taken their tiles, anybody who is tied goes to a second round of bidding, and so on and so forth if there are more ties from there. And you don't get to pick up your cards until you're down to only 1 card left. So you do want to be pretty selective about which cards you're bidding with, because if I just play my 10 first round, then everybody at the table knows, oh, he doesn't have a 10. As long as I play a 10, I can beat him. But you also have to be careful about ties. So if there's a really contested tile out there, maybe it has tons and tons and tons of gold on it that everybody wants, you may want to play your 9, because if everyone plays their 10 to try to get it, then your 9 is going to win, unless somebody else is thinking that and they also put a 9, and then you also tie there. It goes on and on and on. But that's the general game. It is a fairly quick and easy game to explain to people. It plays relatively quickly as long as your bidding is going pretty fast. But I found that this game does play pretty quick. I thought it was a pretty alright game. There wasn't really anything revolutionary about it. You've got a blind bid with cards, which is always fun. I enjoy bidding games, but it wasn't necessarily something new. And then the spatial aspect of covering these up is fun to a point. It's definitely not a game that I think is going to be seeing tons and tons and tons of table time for us. It's one of those that it's a perfectly fine game, but with shelves and shelves of games, there wasn't really anything particular about this game that stood out to me. Now, maybe everything I described you're super excited about. I think it's great. I don't really have any complaints about the game. The component quality is pretty good. These are interesting. They're it's like 2 sheets of paper on foam. Like they're almost a little bit squishy. I don't know if that makes it like more durable than punchboard, or if it's just cheaper to manufacture, or if they just liked the tactile feel of it. Maybe it wasn't as heavy. But it is an interesting component. And the spatial aspect is fun, like trying to figure out how to position these tiles on there to get the maximum points possible. Once you've placed your tile, it is locked, so you can't like go back and say, oh, I drafted this one, now I want to rotate this that way so that I can cover up more rats. All in all, again, it's a perfectly fine game. I enjoy playing it. I do think it fits in really well with Calliope's line of games. It's definitely that same like level of complexity where it's definitely a game. It's more than just like Life or Monopoly or one of those, but it is very much like a family weight game. It's really easily accessible. It plays really quickly. And it is something that I think that like younger kids can play and adults can still play and have a good time with it. So if that sounds like a game that you want to pick up, I will put a purchase link in the description box down below, right above our link to Game Toppers, where you can check out this awesome Watson tabletop that we play all of our games on. Either way, make sure you subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored.